Welcome to Life Unedited. I am your host, Tabitha Sweeney, and this is your lifestyle guide to living an unapologetic life that aligns solely with you. Welcome back, you guys. How are we doing today? We're doing good. All right, so today I want to chat about something that I think many of us do, okay? And this can be a tough topic for some people, or this is going to be a hard question for some people. It's going to seem pretty harsh. But I want to know, do you believe that you deserve happiness in your life? We've all heard that happiness comes from within. Like we've heard that, we know that, right? It's like very happiness comes from inside. Here's the thing. Personally, my take on this and in my experience, happiness occurs for me around specific situations and circumstances. But the feeling that I have, like just on an everyday basis, I would be more inclined to call joy over happiness. And I think that's because joy kind of feels like peaceful. Like it's sort of just, it's there, it's peaceful, it's calming, but that it still allows me when something good happens to have that spike of happiness or excitement. Where if I'm constantly feeling happiness, then how do I have that spike? What am I spiking to when it's the next level? When something happens that like gives me the additional, shots of dopamine and oxytocin and all of that. What is that? So I prefer saying that, my goal is to experience and feel joy and peace on an everyday basis. And that also resonates better for me when I can keep that feeling even when something negative is going on. Because it's hard for you to be sitting there with this really getting awful news and saying, I still feel happy. Like you don't. This is where this toxic positivity comes in. You don't still feel, you're not happy you just got that news. But you can hold a space of peace and joy while also feeling sad, just as you can while you also feel happy, right? So to me, it feels like a more neutral term with more of a positive connotation than a negative connotation, but really it's neutral, and that's what we're looking for, or that's what I'm looking for, I should say. You may not be. But what I've realized, and even with myself, what I realized was I had years in my life where I did not feel I deserved to be happy. I was still punishing the old me for decisions that she made way back. All right. So, for instance, every time I started to feel like I'm a good person and I'm doing these good things, and in my heart, I'm a good person, I would then go back to the version of me that was, in college, screaming bloody murder with my ex-boyfriend and acting like a raged lunatic, um, and then feeling so embarrassed by it. Okay. I would go back to moments where I did something that I wasn't necessarily proud of. Maybe I wasn't real nice to somebody. Maybe I was a total bitch to someone. I'm not gonna lie. There was like a good period there where like my frontal cortex was not totally developed, and My type A was like real strong. And I didn't have the most patience. And I wasn't super nice all the time. So those are like really important things for us to notice, because I let those actions from 15 and 20 years ago impact how I was continuing to think about myself well into my 30s. And I let it negate all of the good that I had done, because I felt like I forever and always needed to, the new me, the good me, she felt like the imposter. And she had a hard time accepting that she's not the imposter. She's grown, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So when you think about this, as women, many of us have spent years making up for past sins that have come and gone. And we're still holding ourselves to that standard. We have not forgiven ourselves. Well, if we cannot forgive ourselves, there's not a great chance other people are going to forgive us for things. There's not a great chance our energy is going to really pull in the people that we want it to pull in. So today, this message is for every woman who is continuing to hold herself accountable for actions of 5, 10, 30 years ago. And I'm begging you to forgive yourself. I have to say this, a few weeks back, I had talked about writing a letter to my 19-year-old self. And that letter was painful. We'll stick with painful. It was excruciating to do. But at that moment, I knew that if I didn't, I had forgiven myself to a certain extent, but I needed to fully forgive myself for all of it, for everything. I needed to forgive myself for the fact that I didn't protect myself back then. I didn't know how. That's okay. I needed to forgive myself for the fact that I was incapable of voicing and expressing my deepest feelings. It's okay. It's all right. I needed to forgive myself for the fact that I used sex as a coping mechanism. I haven't done that in 18 years. It's time to forgive myself for it. It happened a long time ago. It's okay. That's the thing. We have to forgive ourselves. So whatever it is that you're holding on to, whatever it is that you think you don't deserve to be happy because you did X, Y, and Z 20 years ago, say your apologies, write it down, burn that shit. Let it go. You can't change the past. But holding on to it is going to prevent you from changing your future. I want your future to be everything you want it to be. So let that shit go. Guys, that's all I got for you today. That's my whole message today. That's all I have. Okay? I want you to go out. I want you to do something good. But sometimes doing something good means doing something just for you. Remember that too. Doing something good doesn't always mean it has to be for someone else. You can do something good that's just for you. Mwah. Have a good night, guys.